Hello, everyone. My name is Segaecho, and I'm your host for today. You are tuned into Open Studio. This is Cape Town TV, channel 263. Thank you so much that you could join us today. On today's program, I've got Mr. Dylan Oktober from Cape Mental Health, and he's here to discuss the various programs and projects that they actually are currently running under their organization to help address mental health issues within the area. Thank you so much that you could come in today, Mr. Dylan. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm well, thank you.
Wonderful. Just to ask, before we can even speak about the organization, who is Dylan Oktober and what is your role within the organization?
Okay, so as you've said, I'm Dylan Oktober, and I head up the PR and Communications Department for Cape Mental Health. So in essence, we are a registered NGO that provides proactive mental health services within the Western Cape.
Wonderful. And I know that the organization has been around for over 100 years.
Yes, definitely.
Right. So what kind of projects, rather, are you guys busy with, and what programs do you have actually that you're currently running in terms of health matters, mental health matters?
You know, being around for almost over 100 years has allowed us to kind of branch out in every facet where mental health is concerned. So we not only focus on people living with mental disabilities or who have been diagnosed, we also focus on the ordinary person who might also be struggling with mental health issues as well. So we've got a number of projects and programs geared towards specific mental conditions. On the one side, we have intellectual disability, so this is your Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or autism in that sense. And then you've got psychosocial disability, which is just a fancy word for mood disorders, which is your depression and anxiety and PTSD. And then we've also got a number of awareness-raising projects as well, and events that obviously help support us to provide this service, which all the services are for free. And just creating awareness around and mental health specifically, and obviously engaging that discussion around upskilling mental health services within South Africa and the Western Cape.
Wonderful. So you are raising a lot of awareness and education around the matter, which is a rather misunderstood condition, isn't it? I mean, it's quite difficult to pick up if somebody is actually suffering from any mental health issues. And with that, what actually inspired you then to become a part of the organization?
Yeah, as you said, I mean, it's for a long time, mental health has been very taboo within various communities as well. So it's good to see strides and more focus placed on it as well. For me specifically, it was only after I've experienced my own challenges with mental health where I've, gotten to know the organization and what they do, and obviously when an opportunity came around for me to support it with my expertise and my background, I didn't think twice.
You just went right there. So
Yeah, just dived in head first, yes, basically.
wonderful. So I see that you really do have a passion for what you do. And for you within your role, what has been the most challenging part? And with that as well, what has been quite rewarding for you?
Um, I would definitely say the most challenging part is obviously the state of what mental health affairs, just in the various communities that I've been able to work in. It's extremely hard for you to hear the stories or the plights of different people who are struggling specifically. But in essence, it's also equally rewarding as well, because you get to help people. And I think the most rewarding part for me is obviously the work that I do benefits so many people. The ones that you do notice and the ones that go unnoticed as well. So it's definitely rewarding to have that element in terms of my everyday as well.
Yes, I mean, I can only imagine when you start seeing somebody get better, right? And there's a better understanding. And for you personally, how has the journey been? I mean, I can imagine with somebody that's going through some, mental health issues, how does that actually affect the family? What is the common thread that you guys get to see that actually affects families having to deal with somebody who has a condition like that?
I think, when we talk about, someone living with a mental health condition, it not only affects the person, it also affects the entire family and how they interact as well. So that's a very good question in terms of, you know, it's the fact that mental health is multifaceted, and everyone is different, so they present different symptoms or the condition affects them differently. And it definitely has an impact on family life as well, which can be very straining on relationships. So it's good that, we provide a resource for people to not only seek guidance, but we also provide support, not only for the person seeking help, but also families are more than welcome to also come through and engage with us with what they're struggling with.
100%. So you have a whole integrated, all-inclusive, comprehensive layout or an approach rather to the matter. That's really great. And with current state of affairs, with COVID as things are, I'm sure there's been quite a requirement for your expertise at this point more than ever before. How has that journey been like?
So definitely with obviously with COVID having rolled around and affected us globally, it's not only affected us in the most physical aspects, in terms of job loss and obviously the health aspect of it as well. It's also had a huge impact on everyone's mental health specifically. Because as a result of obviously losing a job or falling ill or losing a family member to COVID as well, those aspects have also obviously given rise to certain mental health issues that we're trying to deal with, and obviously people coping with how the world is structured today.
Okay, so I know that you are obviously with COVID, still on that topic, there's a lot of grief and loss that's been experienced. How is your approach then if somebody walks in and they've actually undergone that, or maybe they're triggered, the psychotic or whatever mental episodes they might be having? How is your approach on that one?
So, like you said, I mean, obviously, if it's very hard for people, and especially after the second wave, where we've seen a lot of statistics come through, and the number of stories increasing, where it's family members or people that you know within different circles that have passed away as a result of obviously contracting the virus as well. So it's definitely, shocked us to our core to this extent, but also affected our mental health in tow as well. So we try to provide a holistic approach to it, in the sense where we want to not only support family members as well, those seeking out help, but also providing support and guidance in that sense in terms of the grief process. So we've essentially, it's an existing service that we've had, which is our grief and loss counseling, which is absolutely for free for anyone to partake in, where we effectively guide and support people through the grieving process as well.
100%. I mean, I like that because it's more needed now than ever before, right? And with that, you are addressing the current, situation as is like pretty much head on. Viewers at home, just stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Mr. Dylan when we touch on how counseling actually looks like. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you've just tuned in, you are watching Open Studio. This is Cape Town TV, channel 263. I'm Thabang, your host on this session. Before we went on to the break, I was just about to ask our guest, Mr. Dylan Oktober, a little bit more about counseling and what that actually entails, especially for somebody who has, a mental health issue. So, Mr. Dylan, if you could just take us through the process, from when does it start and what are the outcomes, from that counseling, and how is actually the process? Because, some of us, I'm sure our viewers at home, it's something that we would want to learn more about today.
So, in essence, counseling is essentially just obviously having a mental health professional evaluate you, and asking you different kinds of questions to get to the root source of what's causing any issues in your daily life pertaining to your mental health, obviously. So it would just, going to a counseling session would obviously just be, with our internal process, we go through what is called our intake department. So they do the initial assessment where you meet with a psychologist, and then you essentially just, it's a place for you to vent as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great way for you to vent, to allow the psychologist to obviously get to the root cause as well, and kind of see what triggers are affecting you and how that transpires as well.
Right, and also to get, like you said, to the root of the problem, what's really going on.
Yes, yes.
Right. Why do you think that is so important? And in that question as well, I would like to just find out from you the specialists, the professionals that are actually part of the organization. Who is involved and what is their role within that aspect?
So basically, once you've come for an initial session, right? You then get evaluated, and then it depends on what the outcomes is in terms of the psychologist as well. So they might, see that you don't have a mental health condition specifically, but you are struggling with a certain challenge. Maybe it's within your life, or it's a particular situation at home, or whatever the case may be. That's obviously causing you mental anguish. So within that, they would then recommend either you go and have follow-up sessions with our social workers, who then kind of evaluate and have check-ins with you, to ascertain whether you are kind of implementing the tools that you've received after your initial session, but also to kind of evaluate your progress as well. From that, let's say, for example, if the psychologist suspected someone to have a specific mental health condition, they would then refer you for further treatment as well, if it is medication that you need, or other extensive therapies as well. So that is in a nutshell, but in essence, we kind of, hold your hand throughout the entire process, every step of the way, to give you that added support and guidance. And like I said, families are also welcome to come through if they are obviously struggling to support someone or a loved one with a mental health condition as well, through the recovery journey.
100%. We live in a country that has a lot of challenges, right? I mean, we could sit here the whole day and go through each of them. But for the region that you serve, what are the most common triggers that you have witnessed that, a lot of patients who come in actually are suffering from? Is it alcohol abuse? What exactly are those issues that contribute to the destabilization of their mental health?
I think there's an array, and it's different cases coming through, whether it's a teenage pregnancy, or whether it's alcohol abuse, or whether it's a pre-existing condition where depression and anxiety is concerned. The scope is so broad. And like you said, there's so many things affecting our community specifically, and it's very taxing on obviously people and the families and the communities themselves. So what we've seen specifically where COVID is concerned is obviously depression and anxiety, because now that there's that fear, that how can I say that, not knowing where or how.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, the fear of the unknown specifically, that causes anxiety as well. And being in a lockdown, or being confined to your home, also kind of gives way to depression as well, because
That's
we
right.
don't have the freedoms to do what we used to. So those are just some of the things that we've come across and seen in this past year or so.
100%, because COVID has added that other dynamic where we had to be cooked in our own little corners and isolated from one another.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that has contributed in a major way with that. And then for you personally, what are the most challenging aspects in terms of taking through the patient, with the process, and how does the family, of course, it's quite I'm sure you rely somewhat on the family members, right, to provide that support. Do they also get educated about the condition of the person throughout this process?
Definitely. So along with the support where family is concerned, is obviously educating them about the different condition, whatever the family member is suffering with or living with in the sense, and how to effectively help to support them, or how to help them manage their condition, or getting onto a, let's say, for example, a medication regime,
Right.
or making sure that someone eats 3 meals a day in order to take medication, let's say, for example. So some of the challenges specifically would obviously be, we don't have that face-to-face contact element anymore as a
at this
result.
point, yes.
Yeah, but what we've managed to do is obviously roll out a remote service where we provide mental health care or counseling via WhatsApp, via emails, or telephone calls, to ensure that we kind of are still a support structure within various communities, but to make sure that people are obviously supported, and we as a resource are still fully functional throughout the lockdown.
100%. So the accessibility component, using technology for everybody to be able to benefit from your services? And how has that actually, I'm sure it must have been quite a foreign thing to adopt at this point, right? How have you as a team managed throughout that virtual consultation, I guess, if I should put it that way?
It comes with its own set of challenges because for all of us as staff at Cape Mental Health, we've had to adapt to this new normal. But I would say that it's been pretty successful in the sense that we've managed to keep this remote service going. Preempting the lockdown and rolling it out if so smoothly, and we've been sustaining it throughout the lockdown period or since March last year. So it's been pretty great, with its own set of challenges as well, with the influx of different cases that we receive. But we are grateful to obviously still be in operation and to be able to provide support to those who need it most.
100%. So viewers at home, the support is still quite accessible. They've got virtual platforms where you can actually access, the services. And if you know of anybody or you yourself can, feel like you do need some, right? You can self-diagnose, can't you? If you feel, can you? Is it possible?
I would advise not to self-diagnose.
Right. Don't self-diagnose. Sorry. But rather, yes, if you know of anybody, rather just reach out to the professionals for help. And when we come back, we're going to just unpack how we can actually come into service by then helping the organization do what they do best. We'll be right back. You're tuned into Open Studio. I'm Segaecho, your host. This is Cape Town TV, channel 263. We are on a very sensitive topic, mental health, which is something that, of course, with these times that we live in, has been quite a challenge to the society at large. And I'm speaking today to our special guest, Mr. Dylan Oktober, who's here to just unpack and educate us a little bit more about this process, and this issue that we are currently experiencing. What I wanted to ask you, Mr. Dillon, is that what would you say right now to somebody, who want help, or maybe it has been suggested to them to say that, hey, how about if maybe you check out this organization to see that do you not perhaps need, help? What would you say to them right now? Because there's an element of shame, I guess, and embarrassment, and like you said earlier, it's quite a taboo subject at this point. What would you say to somebody like that to encourage them to come forward?
It's very hard sometimes because as much as we've highlighted mental health challenges in communities, there's still a lot of work to be done to eradicate that stigma as well. But I want to tell people who are struggling or who need help, just to reassure them that they are not alone and that help is available. We are here to support, and obviously we'll be there with them every step of the way to get them to a happy and healthy life again.
100%. And I know that you're doing quite a number of projects. What are the most popular ones, rather, or the ones that are kind of like happen, ritually out of those, and what are they aimed at achieving? What is the end goal for those?
So essentially, we also run different campaigns to highlight different challenges around mental health specifically. So March, July, and October are highlighted as our campaign months. So for March specifically, we highlight challenges around intellectual disability. Where July is concerned, we focus on psychosocial disability and obviously issues around barriers or challenges for people living with those conditions. And then October is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, just generally speaking, you might not have a condition, but each and every one of us have the responsibility to take care of your own mental health specifically. And we all go through, life's ups and downs. So we are there for the downs as well. So we also then, as a flagship event of ours for the month of October, we then host the annual Cape Town International Kite Festival, which is obviously a very popular event that we've managed to host for over 25 years now, which helps us reach, the targets in terms of awareness raising as well as fundraising, and provides a sense of, fun and fun-filled entertainment for the family as well.
Wonderful. So a relaxed environment, conducive, where you learn, but you also engaged in a relaxed manner. You just touched on something quite critical now, like one being able to look after their own mental health. Yeah. So what tips would you actually give right now, in terms of how can I better look after my mental health as an individual?
When I always speak about wellness and taking care of your mental health, I always use the analogy of when we say we want to be fit and healthy, we always focus on the body,
That's right.
but we forget, like, your mind is essentially your engine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's extremely important for us to incorporate different ways that we can take care of our mental health, whether it is, a self-care routine, whether it is sticking to counseling sessions, whether it is sitting around the dinner table and openly discussing certain issues that you've had a problem with,
Yeah.
or
Talking.
yeah,
Yes,
whatever
absolutely.
barriers or emotions that you are experiencing as well. Talking is a great way to take care of your mental health as well.
Therapeutic. Hey.
Yeah,
While you
definitely.
shop, for some of us.
or retail therapy as well, yeah.
100% no, you can't leave that one out. Okay, wonderful. So, for somebody that's watching right now and they're like, you know what, I want to see how I can come in terms of supporting the organization. What are some of the ways that they can actually do so?
So obviously, you can donate to us as well. Um, Even though our services, you can access our services for free, we obviously do various efforts to try and raise funds as well. So people are more than welcome to, donate, as well as, apply for our volunteer program. So
Right.
whenever we're in a position as a global society to go back to what is deemed normal, we would definitely welcome people to come on board and help us roll out some of these services that we have in the various communities.
100%. And with that, do you have a website or social media pages that you can just mention for our viewers so that they can actually go there, get some information, sign up if need be, and learn a bit more about the organization?
Definitely. So if people would like to know more about us or want to access the service, they can contact us on 021 447 9040. That's 021 447 9040. Alternatively, they can email us at info@cmh.org.za. And then our website is capementalhealth.co.za. And then obviously we're on social media platforms galore. So you can just search for us at Cape Mental Health, and I'm sure we'll pop up right.
100%. And I'm sure on your website there are other educational resources that a person can, download or maybe read up on what's happening, how is the current state of affairs in terms of mental health in South Africa, which kind of like, I wanted to sneak this question in. Where are we mentally as a nation? I'm just quite interested in that. Do you have those stats for us?
Well, I don't have stats.
Or even as a region, maybe, perhaps.
I don't have hard stats to refer to that, but I think, as we progress through the different levels, I think we're in a good state at the moment.
Okay,
But
insane.
it's still something we need to keep in the back of our minds, obviously, that we continue to take care of our mental health, but not only that, continue to support each other and get through this together.
100%. So it's about working, as a collective, as a community, and just being each other's support structure.
Definitely.
And how has that analogy actually worked out so far in terms of when, it's encouraged within, especially it starts with the family, right? And how has that been? Has it quite lifted the weight off of your shoulder, I guess?
Definitely. I think it's been great to kind of see communities come together and support each other as well, especially with the hard lockdown where we saw a lot of families live destitute as a result of obviously job loss. And we started a food drive as well, and seeing so many people not only coming out in droves to support the food drive, to support us with funds or non-perishable goods as well. It's been really great to see us support each other, and I think that's what we need to continue to do as well.
100%. So viewers at home, please do continue to support the organization, www.cmh, right? .co.za?
That's
.org.
Cape Mental Health in full.
Sorry, Cape Mental Health in full. Okay, www.capementalhealth.co.za, right? That is the website to visit. Do sign up, do volunteer. There's always something we can all do, to help one another as a community. And with that, Mr. Dylan Oktober, thank you so much for having joined us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. We'll be seeing you very soon. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. This is myself, Thabang, Segaecho, signing out on Open Studio, Cape Town TV 263. Thank you.